It's podcast day. It's podcast day. Hi friends. It's Mars, otherwise known as heyBrownBerry around the interwebs. Thank you very much for coming by the heyBrownBerry Knitting Podcast. I am finally getting a chance to upload this video to show you my view of the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Some of you have reached out to me to say that you would love to see what EYF 2018 was like for me. I went for the first time in Scotland, first time at an international fiber festival, and what can I say? It was incredible. It was one of the best trips I have taken on my own. I love to travel, and my family and I have had some amazing adventures, but this was one of the best trips I've taken on my own so far, and I want to share it with you. So if this is your first time being here, I'm really glad you found me in this little corner of the internet, and I hope that you enjoy this content. And for my returning viewers, cheers. I'm going to enjoy a cuppa and put together some clips for you of my adventures at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. So I will see you throughout the video and just before signing off.
And if you can see that the big tower on the other side, that is shaped like a telescope, I believe. Oh, I can't remember who it's for now. Some famous astronomer man. But there's actually a ball and smarty pantses. So they actually wanted to build a Parthenon there. So, but they ran out of money. So they stopped halfway, and it's actually called Scotland's Disgrace.
Oh no! One show for everybody out there.
Yeah, it's like oops. But now it just looks like a classy old ruin.
It's a hardy group of hikers going up Arthur's Seat. For our first Scotland adventure, a hike was a perfect way to fight off jet lag. The lovely Grace of the Babbles Traveling Yarns podcast was our tour guide. She has been on the hike up Arthur's Seat many times and had so many interesting facts and historical tidbits to share with us. A group of 8 of us made the hike together, and it was a wonderful way to get to know other knitters who were headed for the festival. On this hike, I had time to chat with Nina and her mother Suzanne, May, Bernie, and of course my travel mate Maria and Grace. It was amazing. I had heard from other folks who've attended the festival that one of the best parts of being there is the people. Having time to spend with knitters and other makers that you know, sometimes in real life already, but for the most part, it seemed that many of us knew each other through podcasts and our online communities. So many of us were meeting for the first time, but it certainly didn't feel like that. It was much more like a reunion with old friends. The podcast lounge was a great area to sit and knit and get caught up. It was a great rest area from the marketplace after shopping, and it was well stocked with food and beverage and just space and time to connect. It was inspiring and so restorative to spend time with other knitters like Emilie of Arctic Knitting. The Thursday Big Knit Night was a joy. Having enough brain space and energy to really interact and connect. By Friday, I was already feeling overwhelmed in a good way with the amount of hugs and good times. I was really happy to be in that space, but it's a lot of talking and getting to know each other. So one of the things I loved was the time on Friday evening for what was called the podcaster lock-in. So there was a room set aside for anyone who has a podcast to sit together, be a bit away from the crowd before the start of the Friday evening festivities, the Ceilidh, which is a popular Scottish dance. Before the Ceilidh, we were able to sit together in a room with other podcasters, and most people took out their knitting, and we had some quiet time. It was a great way for those of us who are also fans, by the way, of podcasts to spend time with each other.
I'm over here. It's fine. Whatever. It's fine. My twinsy product. I'm just panning around all the beautiful people.
One of the things I thought about when deciding to take this trip was that I'm not Scottish. I know you're shocked. Scotland and Ireland and other places in the UK are not necessarily my direct part of my direct ancestry. But Friday night at the event called the Ceilidh, none of that mattered. There was such a diverse group of people on the dance floor, and all of us were loving the music so much that it felt so global and so energizing. I want to share some snippets from the Ceilidh with you and hope you enjoy some time to create while you listen to this really good music.
Think about all this.
I think it's bad. I think it's bad.
That's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
Who knew? Reggae vibes from an accordion.
just wow. Just wow. I did not get on the dance floor. I was so enamored with the musicians and watching other people just let go and be free and enjoy themselves that that was plenty for me. I was so grateful to experience that for the first time with folks who'd really become in real life friends by then. It was amazing, and the band was fantastic. I'll put their information in the description box below. Saturday was pretty much a more relaxed day. We did go back to the marketplace at the Corn Exchange, where all of the exhibitors were and where the podcast lounge and other things took place. I had done a bit of shopping. I don't plan to do a lot of talk about my yarn haul. In fact, I won't do any in this episode, but I will show the yarns that I've purchased over time in different episodes as they become projects. I look forward to sharing those with you. As I said, Saturday was a slower day in that we took our time at our Airbnb. We slept in a little later and arrived at the Corn Exchange right around midday. Saturday was primarily a marketplace day, meaning there weren't other social activities, so I did get some time to walk around and visit different exhibitors. And then Sunday, we got quite a surprise. Girls, I wanted you to see what the weather looks like for us today on a Sunday morning. Big fat flakes covering all the things. We're gonna walk out in that weather because we have a bus to catch. What do you think of that, Rumi? That is some serious snowfall.
I didn't know it was supposed to snow anymore today.
A snow day. Apparently there has not been snow like that for a very long time, and we could not help but think, how lucky are we that on a day when our only plan was really to be inside and enjoy the Meet the Shepherd and Meet the Shepherdess event at the Corn Exchange. It was a beautiful, quite heavy snowfall, and it just made it more cozy to be inside, actually. After Sunday, most people had left the festival, and that was bittersweet. We had such a good time in the several days before that I didn't regret any of it, but giving goodbye hugs and wishing people safe travel, it was emotional. It was a bit emotional. Again, it sounds crazy to say that about people that you've only met for the first time, but we all wanted immediately to plan to get together again. It was that enjoyable. Maria and I had already decided before going to Edinburgh that we wanted to extend our trip and see some of the city. We've heard beautiful things about it up to this point and wanted to see some of it for ourselves. And we thought that it would be a good idea to stay in Edinburgh for a few days after EYF. Best decision ever. Over the few days after the festival was over, we explored the area around us and walked quite a good bit so that we could see some other portions of the city, some quite busy and some very peaceful and natural. So I'm not going to do much talking in these next clips and photos. I'm just going to share with you some of what we saw in our exploration of the city, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you on the other side.
Taking care of soul fight.
Big woman.
You're the reason why.
Of course, being at a fiber festival inspires you to keep your needles moving. So while I was at the Airbnb, one of the projects I worked on was my Bella hat, which is a sideways hat pattern by WoollyWormhead. If you'd like to hear more about Woolly and her patterns, see my previous episode where I was able to interview her at the festival. Here I'm just showing you one of the grafting techniques that Woolly is famous for, that I used for seaming up my project. If you ever get the chance to visit Scotland and the city of Edinburgh, I highly recommend you bring some good walking shoes and explore it on foot. Very well worth the trip. We went into some antique stores. We found different paths to explore. As long as we were following the path of the river, we felt pretty confident we'd make it to our destination, which was the town of Leith. Thanks to Maria, who planned out a lot of our side trips and explorations. We did a whiskey tasting, which I think you have to do when in Scotland.
The bottom stays at region, so they're just a wee bit fuller lowland malt, but they're still full of character.
Okay.
So the start of each garden has a nice, light, fruity style, and just a wee hint of salt in the finish.
Thank you. And we did some project planning and other things together in the Airbnb, sort of in the comfort of our own living room. So it was a lot of fun. One of the ways that I was able to control some of my shopping impulse was that I bought very specifically for a project called Fleece Flight. I bought 6 new-to-me yarns to make a special wrap that I'll share with you in future episodes. Many of the things we did on this trip I would do again. And in fact, we've even talked about what we'd love to do next year and what we would add, probably some more side trips to places like Shetland, perhaps. If it is in your means to visit a yarn festival or to get together with other makers, again, I highly recommend it. Whether it's local to you or involves a long flight, you really can't go wrong. I learned from this trip that our tribe embraces each other happily. So thank you so much for coming to share my experience of the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and of the city of Edinburgh. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to sharing other pieces of the trip over time. Thanks for being here. If you would like to connect with me on Instagram or Ravelry, you can find me as heyBrownBerry. If you liked the content of this episode, hit the thumbs up button so that I can get that feedback. And of course, if you want to see when my videos come out, hit the subscribe button to get notified. I'll see you next time. Have a great week. Bye.